It's Gunther. Welcome to the newest episode of Gunther Ghost Hunter. I'm Gunther, the Ghost Hunter. And today we are talking about doppelgangers. Some of you might ask, what is this, a doppelganger? I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it. It's pretty popular today, but today it has a different meaning than it had a few centuries ago. Yeah. Well, whoa, I'm just taking this off. Like this. When we say doppelganger, we usually mean doppelganger. Well, in modern times, a doppelganger is usually just a person which bears a great physical resemblance to another person, yet is not biologically related. A double, a look-alike. Two people can resemble each other very physically, but also behaviorally. They are not people with a delusional disorder, like schizophrenia or paranoia. No, they are physically fit people who simply copy the behavior of another person. And today in this video, I'm talking of a person's second spirit, a ghostly double, which accompanies a person throughout their life, a form of shadow spirit. This ghostly duplicate often haunts its living counterpart. There are signs which might indicate that the doppelganger is very close nearby. There are very subtle signs, like although you are alone, you feel watched. And it's not just limited to a specific place where it could be another form of paranormal phenomena. Scientists say that the reasons for this feeling of being watched is that your brain constantly processes informations of your surroundings without you even registering it on a conscious level. When the brain senses that something is out of order, something unusual of what you define as normal in your daily lives, or throughout your lifetime of accumulated knowledge and experiences, without your consciousness being aware of it. This feeling of unease, when you feel restless, anxious. Another subtle sign could be that you see something out of the corner of your eye. A shadow, a presence. In which case an ophthalmologist would think it might be a sign of a torn or detached retina, or a clumping of cells, or a liquid inside the vitreous, the clear gel of the eye. A fleeting image, an impression, a gleam. Another sign could be that you hear voices or even music. And you might think, it's just an auditory hallucination, or maybe a sign of tinnitus. Or if the doppelganger is of a malevolent nature, it can put bad thoughts in the person's head. Yeah. So there are also the less subtle signs, like when the doppelganger confuses the people who are acquainted to the original person by acting as the original person, often causing mischief and trouble, acting on their behalf. When your double leaves the confines of your physical body and wanders about all by itself, then you have one person existing at two different places at the same time. And the original person usually has no recollection of certain occurrences, deeds, conversations, or even deeds in which they seemingly were involved. And don't just shrug it off. Don't settle for the easy explanations, like that you zone out at times. Or even experience some sort of seizure. Like people who exhibit signs of a complex partial seizure. It also could be a symptom of psychosis or paranoia. Like a person who is overly anxious. Or simply too much stress in your daily lives. And that could have negative effects on your hippocampus, the part of your brain which is important for the formation and storage of memory. Or simply a memory loss combined with an obsessive compulsive disorder or high levels of anxiety. Which could even cause you to physically or verbally harm loved ones. Unintentionally, of course. Or another, less subtle sign could be that you discover scratches after you wake up. They, of course, could be simply self-inflicted. You could also have red or swollen and itchy skin, which of course could be due to eczema. People with schizophrenia also can have a CAPGRAS delusion, a disorder in which one believes that a person close to them, family member, friend, spouse, has been replaced with an imposter. The medical field attributes the doppelganger effect to electrical stimulations of the left temporoparietal junction of the brain, the region that holds the sensation of self-image. The left temporoparietal junction also plays a role in a variety of widespread disorders like Alzheimer's disease, amnesia, or schizophrenia. Now, let's talk about what happens when you encounter your own doppelganger. A harbinger of approaching death. An omen of bad luck. You can come in contact with your doppelganger. Moments later, you die. Not in a variety of ways. Or approach of difficult times, like instant death. The concept of the doppelganger varies from culture to culture, like the Egyptian Ka, or the Norse Vadger, or the Finnish Edianen, and the British Fetch. In traditional folklore, there are different types of doppelganger. It can be a malicious spirit, an evil twin if you like, that causes trouble. It could also be a person's future or past self. It also can be a guardian spirit that tries to warn you, to protect you, to help you, even to inspire you to become a better person. In ancient Rome, when an emperor died, an effigy was fashioned in his likeness. It was dressed like the emperor. It was laid on the bed as if it was the emperor. It was even visited by senators, matrons, physicians would visit. All would treat the effigy like the original person, until after 7 days the effigy would die. It had ritual meaning. Although the deceased emperor found already his last resting place in a mausoleum. The effigy would even be taken to processions. The effigy would be cremated to protect from demons and evil spirits. Not the deceased person, but the dignity of the title of the royal institution. A public ritual display. This tradition was continued in medieval England and France. Probably most of you have heard the saying, "The king may die, but the king never dies." In the 3rd century BC, the Roman comic playwright Titus Maccius Plautus wrote comedies which mark the earliest mention of doppelgängers in literature. In his story, a lost twin or spirit or a god in human form would steal a man's identity and gradually create confusion in his life. Comic confusion, that is. Later in literature there was the prince and the There was the prince and the pauper motive. A political intrigue of a tyrant being replaced by a benevolent double. The most common misconception that you will hear is that doppelganger is German and means something like double goer or double walker. Wrong. Because because the word doppelganger itself is a doppelganger. Now how can this be? Let's now talk about the origin of the term doppelganger, which was coined in the 18th century. The German writer of the Romantic era called Jean Paul, he was born as Johann Paul Friedrich Richter. Since 1793, Jean Paul was his pen name, in honor of the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Jean Paul wrote humorous novels and satire, influenced by philosophers of the Age of Enlightenment. In the book Flower, Fruit and Thorn Pieces, or the married life, death and wedding of the advocate of the poor, Firmian Stanislaus SIEBENKÄS. Yes, titles in that time had... It's even longer in German. Or in short, SIEBENKÄS. It's definitely shorter. Although English readers be aware, the term doesn't appear in early English translations of this book. So, get the German edition. SIEBENKÄS also was one of the first novels to be banned by certain censors in Germany for its incomprehensibility and seemingly irrelevant topic. It was too daring. It criticized corruption in the upper class, society, and even religion. When it was published, it had mixed reviews. The genius of his humorous writing was only discovered later. Nowadays, Jean Paul is regarded as one of the greatest German writers of the Romanticism. In the book, SIEBENKÄS is unhappy with his life, with his marriage, his job. He yearns for a better life, and one day Leibgeber, his best friend, convinces SIEBENKÄS to escape his miserable current life by faking his own death. With the help of his friend, of course. They succeed in their plan. SIEBENKÄS even assumes the name of his friend, Leibgeber. The two part ways forever, and SIEBENKÄS goes to a distant city where he will find a new love and live happily ever after. In a way he always wanted. But there's more to the story. As it turns out, SIEBENKÄS and Leibgeber have been the same person all along. Leibgeber, the person SIEBENKÄS envied and always wanted to be. In chapter 1, there's the first mention of the word doppelganger during the description of the wedding feast, in the context of a meal that comes in 2 courses, and in which the second course is served together with the first course. And that's doppelganger, double course, if you like. In the German language, the word Gang has various meanings, 2 of which are walk and Gang, like the course of a meal. Courses. In the second chapter, in a scene where SIEBENKÄS and his friend Leibgeber are having a conversation, he mentions the term Doppeltgänger with a footnote. He explicitly says that Doppeltgänger is the name for people who see themselves in the modern context of one who goes twice. So Doppelgänger with the T means one who goes twice, and Doppelgänger means a 2-course meal in which the second course is served together with the first course. But now comes the weird thing. Somehow, in modern times, the meaning of the word Doppeltgänger has replaced the meaning of the word doppelganger. It killed it and took its place in its form, doppelganger. And everybody treats it as if it was the original thing. So the word doppelganger itself is a doppelganger. Crazy shit. The funny thing is that in SIEBENKÄS, the doppelganger is actually an alter ego. And not the paranormal doppelganger, of which I will talk in detail in the next few episodes, in which we will take a closer look at the most famous accounts of doppelgangers.